Hi, it's Mo from HotJet. Want to cover the HotJet 2 for a safety overview, an operational overview. We'll actually run this unit in this video. I'm having a lot of people ask for it. The other videos are overviews where I'm trying to sell you HotJetter, right? Of course, I think now there's somebody out that kind of sell themselves. There I go right into the sales mode. Okay, when you receive your jetter and you've got it unloaded, first things first, make sure that you've got a truck to pick it up with a 2 5/16 inch hitch. That's the big ball, right? Or if you change this out, you can just undo these nuts and bolts, pull the bolts out and put on a pintle hitch. If you got a pintle hitch, that's what's nice about this unit. You can put the pintle hitch on. So first of all, I want to cover trailer towing safety. I know it sounds basic, but it's really important. So that's number one. Make sure that when you're locked down, make sure that you are locked down on this hitch right there. Make sure that that's got the bite down and that you can close this up and repin it when you've got that on the ball. Okay? To open it, see if my voice is gonna last. Try not to drink too much coffee. There, you're open. And so we might ship it open or closed, but after you hooked on your ball, then you want to latch it down. Okay. Some guys put locks right there. Make sure these bolts are tight. You know, every once in a while your bolts come loose. Make sure you bring up your jack. Now there's a checklist that's inside of this box that'll have, these are our bill of ladings, and our ship to label. I just grabbed this on the way out the door. Our truck is waiting. So the back of your safety sign-off sheets is a complete operational checklist. And the first part of it's the trailer. Check hitch, check the battery charge on the breakaway. That's this little unit there. That's important. If it ever comes loose, this'll pull this safety and that pin comes out, and then it puts the charge on and locks the brakes up. Hopefully adverting, is that a word? Is that a verb? A major problem. You don't want your trailer breaking away from your vehicles. All right, check your tires and tire pressure. We do that before it ships. Make sure the jack's up. We've had a few guys leave with the jack down. That's not good. Check your brake lights, turn signals, and running lights. I would say 100% of these we test, and they test out great before it leaves here. I'd say 100% of them. I turn my head this way there, Steve. Got to level out. There we go. These are high dollar productions. Okay. Check brake lights, turn signals, and your running lights. So 99% of the problems, and Steve knows it, Steve fixes them, are with the customer's vehicle. It's not in the trailer. Because we test the lights even before they ship, because we got to haul it with our trucks over to the dock. Okay? So it'll be a fuse, right? Isn't it fuse always?
Yeah. One thing to note is people say, well, my lights work on the truck, but they have separate fuses for the trailer. That way, if you blow
So they got separate fuses for the trailer. If you can't hear, because we got the mic over here, I guess we're on. Sound check, 103, okay. Okay, the other part here's tow vehicles. Big enough to tow this. True story, Tom showed up at the Indianapolis show with his, gosh, was it a Ford Ranger? Yeah, something like that. This, man, you're not towing this out of here. You gotta have, I would say, at least a 3/4 ton. Half ton will tow it if it's empty. 3/4 ton if it's full. Okay, so bumper hitch is adequately rated. You gotta make sure your hitch that's gonna tow this can handle it. This unit loaded's about 6,000 pounds. You gotta make sure the hitch on the vehicle is properly rated. Pin and clip secure. That's what we just showed with that pin right there. Make sure you got the correct ball size. Make sure your ball's tight. We've seen it all in here. Make sure the brakes work. Make sure your lug nuts are tight. We double check these lug nuts. When it's marked, we've torqued them. And torquing's really important because if you over tighten, it'll break that stud off. We've seen it all in here in our 30 years. And then up underneath, you want to make sure all your nuts and bolts stay tight. There's a lot of vibration going over the road, so you know, it's just a good idea to check all the fasteners. Alrighty, so there's some good general checkouts here as well. We're not going to go through every bit of it. That's what you got to cover when you're out in the service in these. Make sure your oil's up on the engine. One thing I will say, and I like to say this, is you have to change this engine oil. It's got braking oil. You have to change it between 5 and 10 hours with, I'd use Mobil 1. Hey, it's a Mobil 1 endorsement. I'd use Mobil 1, 100% synthetic. You know, Valvoline's good, Castro, whatever, but we love Mobil 1. That's for the engine. The pump, I would change at about 50 hours. If you see a little bit of emulsification, a little water in the oil, that's natural to have a little bit at 50 hours, and that's a non-detergent 30 weight, okay? All right, so, and one other service item I like to check, and that's the filter. We get a lot of calls on this filter that it starts to clog up, which is exactly what it's for. And make sure when you put it back on that there's a seal up in here. So when you take this off, matter of fact, we'll service it here. This is kind of an operational service safety overview. Let's just do it right while we're here. I'm gonna take this off. I shut the water off from the tank. Right there, show that valve, Steve. Now that's in the off position. I'm gonna pull this filter out and look for crud. There's a little bit of crud in the bottom of that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna hand that off to Chris and let him go clean that up. There's always a little bit of crud in water, and our production crud, we'll call it. There just always is. So we'll bring that back. The other thing I like to do is flush that out a little bit. We're just gonna let that water flow if it's got enough head on it, which it doesn't. So we pretended that part, that water would have come out here. I'm gonna put some water in this before we run it, okay? So before you go out on the job site, test run this unit. Don't go out to a customer's and go, oh, whoops, it doesn't run, or whoops, I needed to prime the pump. If you run dry, this is your valve right here. While it's running, to get the water primed up into the pump and let the air out, that Schroeder valve works great. That works really good. I've never had to do that very often. Make sure your water tank's full, so you get a little bit of water on that to help push the air out. That's while it's running. This is your jumper pulsation valve. So you don't want to run that all the time in the pulsation mode. I'd only run it pulsation if you're stuck, if your hose isn't coming back, or if you've really got a bad area. Nozzles are so good now, you're going to blast through nearly anything with this unit. So the general checkout is right here as far as safety cones. Follow all safety procedure. Fill your water tank. If it's antifreezed, we'll go over that on how to re-antifreeze this unit. Have a few tools with us. Chris is back with the filter. Chris, we're going to need some water in this unit. We need a little more water to run this. So again, we're just doing a startup and safety procedure and overview. See where there's a gasket right there? That needs to be tight. Make sure you guys don't lose that. But our #1 service call is right here, or they've got a fuel filter that's needing service that's clogged up either to the engine or there's also a fuel filter on the burner. Now I'm not going to tighten that all the way. As soon as we get a little more water there and we get a little head coming to that, we'll flush that out and we'll tighten that up before it runs. These units, all these fittings need to be tightened on a regular basis. Retighten, because this unit will want to suck air anywhere it can get it. I want to talk about the burner. Here's your burner fuel filter right here. That's made to trap not only water but the bad particulate. I at least twice a year, wouldn't you say, Steve? Change that out. Okay. We got a mechanic running our service manager running the video camera. The prime on these, they don't ever lose anymore, right?
No.
Yeah, this is self-priming. Diesel and gas, don't mix the two up. Take a deep breath. Think about what you're doing when you fuel this up, if you're going to run gas or diesel, okay? Really important there. Again, these are your safety sign-off sheets for your personnel. We're going to cover those as well. Inside this pamphlet, you got your owner's manual. Gosh, got to keep my voice going. This is the HotJet 2 owner's manual. That safety startups in the inside. We've got the warning sheets. This also matches the warning on the machine. Don't let anybody run this without proper training. For Cal 65, we've got the warnings on all the units. Both the brand, all the brand new warnings. We're gonna have a little wind here, sorry. Service update. Now, there's an on and off valve for the fuel for the engine that you need to make sure that you're in the on position. Easy to find right there. With the grain, you're on. Between jobs, shut that off. So you got on, off. Once a year, I'd recommend flushing out that gas. Wouldn't you, Steve? Yeah. Once a year. Okay, you got a large battery. It's a deep cycle, brand new battery. Between charges, I'd like to see a trickle charger on there. On that. This right here is a new condensate tank that we put on that catches the condensate off of the burner. Okay. This part here is your unloader valve. So when the water's in the off position back in the controls, that unloader valve dumps the water back to the tank. Beautiful feature, pump saver, it's low pressure. Then you're in recycle mode. Okay, that's in the easy start mode. Again, this tank here is your evaporative tank. Rarely do you have to get into this valve or the pulsator. That's a nitrous, shoots a little nitrous in whenever it comes off and on. These last a long time. Now this little part here, so why don't you zoom in on that. This is the microprocessor pressure switch. It tells the burner to go on and off when there's pressure. Always kind of keep an eye on that. You want to make sure that you're not, the burner's not on when it's not under pressure. And I want to take this time and talk about heat on these. Now, you need to be careful not to run it too hot, just like your water heater at home. 120's just maximum right there. And this is the gauge right here. So 120, I'd recommend the maximum. If you're comfortable and you're gonna run it as a power washer, you can crank it up. This unit will get definitely hotter. But again, in all our warnings, our literature, 120 is where we like it. It's just a good round number. It'll melt the grease. Yeah, we guarantee it'll melt the grease. How about that? So I like that big American-owned sticker. We still are. Buy American, you keep America in jobs. It's working. So that's your control there. Remote control, when you're gonna run it remote, you just turn the switch on, burner off. If you wanna run it in automatic, manual, you can start this unit in manual. Just turn the key on. But if you're gonna run it in remote, you leave the key off, and here's your choke on the engine. These start so sweet that, when it's warm, you probably won't have to choke. But another thing, if it's not firing up right away, we found that just kind of means either the fuel line's off or they don't have water. But don't sit and crank it and crank it and crank it until the starter melts. We've seen that, right, Steve? So, tell your guys, like if it's not starting right away, shut it down, call Steve or me or Chester, call somebody here. We'll figure it out real quick. It's, rarely is it gonna be something major, but don't sit and crank it and crank it. Now, if you're cranking it and you hear it go run, run, that means the easy start valve in the back, which we're gonna cover, is probably closed. okay? This spring inside of this relief valve is engineered not to let it start if the starter may not overcome the back pressure that it creates. That's what it's supposed to do. That's why we like to start these with no back pressure. Then the pump's really going to last a long time. Boy, this video is going to be long. Hope I don't bore everybody to complete death. You got some water going in the tank, so let's see if we've got enough head on this water, or you can also lower the front. Now we're going to fill that up. We're going to let that air out. See that? I like that. So now we're going to just tighten it up the rest of the way, so we know we let the air out. Now there might be a little residual air pocket in there. Tighten that up snug, but don't put pliers on it. Now if it doesn't start right away, then we know that this valve will let the air out, okay? And then that'll pick up the prime on it. So rarely do we need to get up into service on this. And I recommend somebody know what they're doing, because you've got some really high voltage that ignites the diesel fuel, okay? It's got like 2 spark plugs in there. And you know, a lot of guys are really familiar with oil burners. The same oil burners they've got in the Northeast at the homes there. Okay, as we walk around, let's show these valves. Follow the arrows. That's what I tell people. That arrow comes out of the tank into your water feed. Now if we go the other way, we're coming out of the antifreeze tank and then we're feeding in, okay? So when we do need to antifreeze this, we go to the antifreeze and then we run it till we see antifreeze come out of the back of the hose. And then back here, we turn on, we shut off the easy flow valve, and then that antifreezes the line from the relief valve up to the tank. Sounds complicated, but we'll show you. It's pretty easy. Now inside of here, you've got another set of safety. You've got your hose warnings. You've got your protective PPE stuff. You've got your valve overviews for the HotJet 2 and how to run your remote. I mean, you got like, it's like going to a sit-down diner, okay? Now this is our hose for the small lines. You see that? I got that out of there. This is the jumper valve, foot valve that runs this hose here. We'll run that briefly. Inside of your toolbox, we include 2 remotes. Let's go ahead and open this up. Now here's all your keys, toolboxes and everything. Now you got extra O-rings right here. Sometimes you need O-rings between jobs. If you're leaking at the gun, if you're doing a wash down, your spray gun is right here. Okay? Let's keep moving here. Now inside of your toolbox, we include safety gloves and glasses as per OSHA's requirements. This is what they call a stinger. This is hooked. We're going to hook this on when we go to run this in a little bit. And the next part, this is the overview, and then we're going to do operational. Okay, we'll let you get some coffee because man, it's getting long. Sorry, but it's important, right? Safety is important. This keeps the hose from turning back on itself. So it goes between your jetter valve. That's probably enough water, Chris. This goes between your jetter valve, your jetter hose, and your nozzle. So this would be like a 6 or 8 inch pipe. We'll put the nozzle on there, and you want to see how far back it can come back on itself. You never want a hose coming back on itself. That's one of our main safety training areas, okay? So if you're going into a bigger pipe, you could run this up to 18 inches if you're cleaning the bottom of a 30-inch pipe, which happens, right? But you don't want this hose coming back at you. This isn't a monster machine, it's a mid-grade machine, but it still could do some damage, especially if you're running it too hot, which you don't want to run that. I'm going to emphasize that again, 120. That won't burn you. Water heater, think of a water heater. 140 is going to roast you, 120 is okay. All right, so that's your stinger, okay? We include that a smaller one. If you need larger ones, you can just make them. It's just pipe. All right, further on inside here, this is the liquid soot remover. That's for the diesel. Run 1 cap full every time you fuel up. It's like a chimney sweep, right? You can go ahead and unhook that, Chris. Depending on the package you get, we're going to show how to hook up the Warthog. You've got O-ring picks. You can also clean your teeth after lunch. You've got a nozzle here that's made to run on the turbo nozzle. If you want to clean some heavy equipment, this is what that's for. That's a turbo bomb. That's something else. If you want to clean your tracks and your track hoe or your neighbor's fence, I like these insulated gloves, a couple bucks. If the hose is kind of hot, I also like wearing a inner glove and then this glove. Good combination. You've got your service kit for your Warthog right here. I'll have Chester cover some of that. You also got 2 sets of nozzles. I'm going to set those off. I'm going to put this down. And you've also got a spare burner filter. Okay. All right. We're having fun. So go through all this. When you get this back to your shop safely, don't show up with Bronco 2. That's what we had my buddy Thomas show up in Indianapolis. Check fittings. Get familiar with the machine. Of course, that's on and off. You got a charger right there. RPM gauge. That one's set at 0. A lot of times it'll stick up high, but when you turn it on, they work. That's a good solid gauge. Your main hose reel runs right here. You can kind of see your angle. You can adjust this at. Again, we really like this setup. Okay. If the hose is coming off a little bit hard, this one's set just perfect. Ooh, I like that. Lots better. So you got your tightener here. And it doesn't need to be hardly tight at all, right? I think it's more for looks. Now this is a gear-driven, newer style. If you lose any of this stuff, call us, because that's your safety cover. Hene makes that. Great reel. Your on-off buttons right here. Don't push my buttons. Okay, no problem bumping that, because it's made to go back in rapidly. But no problem bumping this, because if it's, you can just bump it, okay? Should have my gloves on, huh? Gloves, glasses, right? Back here, this is important stuff. Okay, that's the off position for the hose reel. This is the on position for the starting position. Again, that's off. That's off. It's against the grade. So when you start this, that hose is going back to the tank. Lose my voice a little. All right, so when you want this to go to the hose reels, right there, that's on for the hose reels. This is your easy start valve. Off, on. Now you're live to the hose reels, and then when you're ready to jet, that valve's on, right? Off. And this is for the jumper hose reel. That's in the off position. Then once you're ready, let's say that's hooked up to the gun or to that foot pedal, which we're going to show. We'll show both of those. There's the on position, okay? Off, on. This is your fill hose reel. Now, going down the road, you've got these pins. And this is a good one right here. You can see how that goes in to lock that up. You've also got the transport position. That's what I call it. I've drug hose down the freeway before. And then when you're ready to transport this, when you're done, let's cover that up. We'll put this off to the side. Looks like we can get it easier this way. I'm gonna hook the hose up right there. Okay, kind of shows that. We're gonna actually operate this thing. This is an overview video. But it all looks good back here. Got your drain right here. Right here. Nah, it is a good drain. You got your fast fill. Got a big old air gap. thanks Lawrence for telling me how to cut that pipe. I don't know some of this stuff. All right, cone holder, you can put as many cones on there. We always ship jetters with 2. Other toolbox, you got your tiger tail. That's your protector for the hose as it goes down in. You feed your hose through there, a nozzle. Now you can also lower this down and get it into a clean out below ground, then feed your hose through that. Seen it done, seen it, been there, done it. This is your vacuum reverse vacuum unit. So you hook your gun, a wand to that, and you can vacuum 40 gallons a minute, 50 gallons a minute with that. Pretty amazing tool. We'll see if we can show that. Now I get asked a lot about our Jetter Juice. Jetter Juice, that's a good name. Our Total C. I know our units come with a soap tank, but I'll tell you, I prefer adding it to the tank. It's easier. The challenge with our soap valve, and we might phase it out for 2019, is by the time you open this up, it's got to go back into through the pump into 496 feet of coil and then into 300 feet of hose. So boom, you're jetting, you got your soap coming out. You say, that's enough soap. You shut it off. You know, could be 5 minutes before it clears the line. So I really like adding this to the water tank. And generally anywhere from a half a bottle, which is 16 ounces, up to 32 ounces, which is a full bottle, full quart. Alrighty, so we'll keep walking around. So that's the Total C. Every jetter gets it. And this is your detergent tank. I ask, well, I get asked, you know, generally speaking, I'd put 2 quarts into this, top it with water if you like that way to jet, okay? We're gonna show the antifreeze. You got your gas tank, battery, choke, we've covered it all. Okay, that's a great overview. Again, back to remote operation. Then this next one will operate it. So burner on, remote on, hour meter, chokes inside, and you've got your operational books right here. Excuse me. This is very comprehensive. It's got everything. It's got our overview of our build, how the pump works, all the nitty-gritty. Nitty-gritty, I like that. It's got the remote control overview, how it works. We're going to cover that once we go run it. We've got a electrical diagram, antifreezing, motor manual, and warranty. So got everything in there. We'll cover the next part of this video in our second part. Thanks.